Well, now to the topic which is very important for both of us. When we raise Russian kids, or when Russian kids are raised by someone else, parents usually do pay a lot of attention to pronunciation.
They do?
Yeah. They send their kids to speech therapists.
Russian pronunciation.
Russian. I'm talking about Russian pronunciation first. To speech therapists, they learn with them a lot of nursery rhymes and everything. Mm-hmm. They send their kids to sing, to develop their voice and everything. And with this, being a fact, why there's so much neglect to pronunciation when children start learning foreign languages?
Are we talking about Russia? Precisely.
Yeah, precisely about Russia.
Okay. I guess it's because of the Soviet way of teaching that imposed us a lot, and it was always like based on grammar and translating and stuff like that, and English was always treated as just one of those subjects that they teach at school that has to be learned through tables and exercises and drilling and stuff like that, and I guess maybe people think, okay, if I mispronounce something or I pronounce it with a Russian accent, it will be fine. I still pronounce the same word and I will be understood. But nobody really goes into like more detailed, contemplating the fact that, okay, it might actually influence my confidence, for instance, or it also might influence my fluency because I cannot speak smoothly. Or people actually, most likely, if you misuse some sort of grammar structure, right? Okay, people will understand you, that's fine. But if you mispronounce something, or if you speak with a very thick accent, you will be misunderstood. Yeah, so
I'm waging wars with some teachers as well, because it seems so obvious to me. If we want our kids to be speaking Russian beautifully, why should we neglect such aspect as pronunciation when it comes to learning a foreign language? And, there's still some misconception. Some teachers say that students talk to each other in the classroom. I understand them as a teacher. They understand each other, yes, together with their mistakes. So what do you want? They are speaking, yes, they're doing the task and everything.
But that's like a forced situation in the classroom, right? Yeah. It's not really real life.
It's a closed world, and when a person just goes abroad and
they get
opens their mouth,
whoa. That's what actually happened to me when I went to America, and at that moment I was already studying in the university, so that was like, like the education there was more, you see this happening too, yes. Like more intense, obviously, and more focused, and we actually had 3 months of pronunciation, like strictly just pronunciation. Mm-hmm. And I went to America and I started talking to Black people, and I was like, are they speaking a different language or something? Like it took me 1 month to get used to and like stop getting stressed out and worried because I was also working as a waitress, so I had to take orders. And I was like, why didn't they teach us something real, like different accents, different paces of speech and stuff like that?
Like in the Scottish elevator lift.
Yes.
Could you please repeat that?
Yeah, 11, yes.
11,
yeah, it has to be taught, I think, because it's also so important, especially also because, if you, like, learn Italian, for instance, or, I don't know, what other languages, like Japanese. Yes, there are some sort of dialects, I guess, inside the country, but mostly, I guess, they are understandable. But English is so universal, right? There are so many countries with different accents, completely, and sometimes they don't even understand each other, natives,
yes.
So it has to be taught.
Yeah, because it's so closely connected to your listening skills.
Absolutely.
Which goes even before you open your mouth and start speaking. Yeah. Because you need to understand what has been. And if inside your brain you pronounce this word differently. And of course, when it comes to pronunciation, we should be constantly remembering that there's so much lack of teaching connected speech.
Yes, connected speech is like the most important thing that has to be taught.
I have a student of my own who is currently studying at Herten University, which you graduated from as well.
Yeah.
And she tells me that their teachers tell them that they should pronounce words separately when they
No
teach
way.
little kids. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I guess they come from the Soviet, school.
Maybe.
Teaching.
And they even fail them. They don't give them credits if they disagree with them, the students. So this is very strange to me, because when the whole internet, yes, and we see that our students also, even with our, with our encouraging them, they watch a lot of videos and they see how people speak and they listen to songs and they watch serials and everything. But somewhere in Russia, there's still a closed world.
And the worst thing is that university that specializes in teaching, foreign languages department, there has to be, and it's even not even St. Petersburg, it's Russian pedagogical university, which means it's the best, university, the best teaching faculty in the country. There has to be the best specialists, right? That give you this modern, up-to-date education.
Maybe this is an exception. Yeah, maybe.
No, it's
hopefully
not. Trust me. I studied there.
So you confirm?
Yes, I completely confirm. I was just very lucky because I had maybe throughout 4 years of my studying, I had a few teachers that I really respected, and they gave me some knowledge. One of them was a phonetics teacher, and I think she quit right after, most likely.
There was nothing to do for her anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, she gave me a very good base, foundation, for it. But most teachers, I think I actually talked about it. I had to fight with them because I chose the American accent and the American spelling and the American grammar structures, and they were literally giving me low grades because they thought there was mistakes, or they were trying to convince me, not to go to America and not to adopt this accent and stuff like that. And I was like, people, it's 21st century, deal with it already.
When I was studying, I studied at the St. Petersburg State University. We didn't have any connection with American accent, so I was trained like British.
Received
pronunciation, but then I started watching videos, and I can say that I have picked a lot of American things, and sometimes I cannot understand whether I'm pronouncing the word in its English variant or American variant, and I have to go to the dictionary and check. But now I think the world should become more open to accents.
Yeah,
and as long as we understand each other. I even have some people who I respect very much, who think that we, especially Russian teachers, are obsessed with pronunciation. But I think there's a misconception, because some Russian teachers, they think that accents should be almost the same as native speakers' ones, which I think is not that important.
No. Yeah,
when you master the intonation, connected speech, the sounds, when you don't confuse the stresses in the words, that's okay. I don't tell anyone during my pronunciation classes or general English classes, just try to get this received pronunciation or this particular American accent. No.
But there's no particular accent in America.
Yeah.
So
because
many
they speak differently in different areas. But, sometimes foreigners think that when we talk about pronunciation, we talk about accents. Guys, when we talk about pronunciation, we Russians, it's because, Russian words, Russian just written speech, we read almost how it's written.
Yeah.
It's totally...
Except
There are exceptions, and there's connected speech also in Russian as well.
But it's not as complicated as in
No,
English.
not as complicated. Yeah. But when it comes to, twisting the words, mispronouncing the endings all the time, as soon as possible. So true. We talk about how to make people speak so that they understand each other and that they are confident and that they hear what is said to them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, I can even prove it with my own experience, because there were certain sounds or maybe words that some native speakers would be like, which one did you mean? For example, food or foot? Which one did you say? And for them it's confusing because it changes the whole meaning of the sentence, obviously. So yeah, absolutely. And connected speech is I think you've just mentioned, it's so connected to listening skills in the first place, not even speaking, because they separate words so differently that I literally saw people listening to a sentence that for me it sounds so simple, and for them it's just gibberish because it's like, you know, one vowel goes into the second, like it's just separate, like, yeah. And usually when you tell them this first, of course everybody's like astonished, everybody's shocked, but then they see that this is how it works, and their listening improves like in an instant, because it's so important, and it's, nobody pronounces separately. I'm outraged.
I'm now torturing my first year students at the university, and after half a year of studying, they know what intrusion, catenation, elision, assimilation.
What's the second one?
Catenation is when we connect words together.
Like in connected speech.
Connected speech.
Catenation.
Catenation.
Never heard of this.
And they know this, and they analyze texts. They hate it. They really hate it. But I try not to pay much attention to it, because very soon they will understand that this is the most precious tool they can have. They use transcription. They can read the words. They can understand. They can hear connected speech, and they know the difference between long vowels and short vowels. And I think it will really do them a lot of good. So we also do this in my pronunciation course, so a little bit promotion of myself in my video. So if you want to have beautiful speech, if you want to have connected speech, and if you want to improve your listening skills, please welcome. Yes, either Yulia or me, we will do our best. To teach you.
Absolutely. And I wanted to add that I completely understand why they hate it now, not because it's like because of the text analysis, but because it's hard for them. It's
the whole science.
Yes, absolutely. And usually like it's a very psychological moment, because you're like, I'm trying to do this and I can't. So why can't I do it?
Well, they already can. I think they see the results themselves, and a lot of them say that it has benefited them a lot. But it's not easy.
No.
Just because they're not used to that.
It's not.
They're not used to that. But hopefully things will slowly but steadily change.
I hope so, that the education system will also change, and they will maybe somehow implement pronunciation more, not just spelling, for instance, but actual pronunciation tips.
There's this guy that I often refer to, Sir Ken Robinson. His speech is the most viewed on YouTube, on TED.
Oh, no.
And he speaks about how schools kill creativity. We're not going to talk about schools, but I like this phrase of him. He says, rock and roll was not a government plan. And maybe if something doesn't change from the upper levels of our government and everything, teachers who want to make a difference in the world, like some of them,
just won't have a chance.
Yes, because if we are passionate enough, if we are consistent enough, probably things will change for the better.
I hope so. I hope there's some hope, but I don't know. I'm like not very hopeful about Russia and our education system in the nearest like 10 to 20 years.
But I think if we help just several people, and they will pass the word to. Yes.
That's exactly why I decided to start teaching teachers, because I was like, I can expand my influence, because then they will teach their students, and not like somehow it will, I don't know, spread like word of mouth and stuff.
It's so wonderful to see how teachers' faces lit up with so many discoveries that they have at your course. Oh, really?
Or sometimes it's not really lit up. Like sometimes I feel like, oh my goodness, they feel so miserable, because they're like, what?
Like, I like how you say in the end of the course, you have started this and this and that. Now forget it. Because we're going to speak about
connected speech.
And when sounds disappear completely, and when they assimilate and everything.
True.
But you cannot start. Well, sometimes you can combine. I dare combine these things. I might be concentrating on some of the most difficult sounds, and I might be teaching elision at the same time.
That's a good idea. But they have to also understand that, yes, you have to, like, I understand sort of that you have to first master, sounds, within, like, without connected speech. And then they have to understand, yes, this is how it was supposed to sound, but we're all people. There's always this people factor, right? And even in Russian, we butcher so many words. Like, we don't really speak properly. So it happens not only in English, because usually people start blaming English, and they're like, oh, that's stupid English. Those Americans, they slaughtered the whole language. No, it happens in every single language. It's just that in Russian we don't notice it.
Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
Just different. When in Rome, do as Romans do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Train your body, because the pronunciation lives not only in your mouth and in your face, it lives everywhere.
Yeah, in your soul.
In your soul.